Web services support in Java SE 6. So here we are going to talk about the fact that web services can be deployed over Java SE platform, and we are going to see API that you have to use to publish your web service endpoint, and then server-side programming. This is relevant on Java SE platform, and client-side is exactly the same. So in fact, there is nothing to be talked about here. Okay, web services support on Java SE 6 platform. So Java SE 6 contains a complete web services support. So it does support JAX Web Services 2.0, and data binding is included, and updates to JAXP, which includes StaX for parsing and transformation. And it does support all the standards that are being supported by JAX Web Services and JAXB. So SOAP 1.1 and SOAP 1.2. Basic Profile 1.1 and XOP and MTOM, as well as RESTful support and totally XML schema. So anything that you can do on building web services over Java EE platform, you can do the same thing and deploy over Java SE platform. So why you want to deploy your web service over Java SE platform instead of a server-based platform? Well, when you have a very simple web service, you do not want to have heavy duty deployment platform like a server, then you can just deploy over Java SE. So Java SE provides lightweight deployment platform for web services for both SOAP and RESTful based web services. So Java SE comes with the HTTP server, very small HTTP server. So as long as you have HTTP server, you should be able to deploy your web service. Okay. So there is no need to have container-based server, which is typically heavy duty compared to Java SE. And so this Java SE-based web service deployment is useful when you want to deploy lightweight web services with a very simple instruction. It's going to be just a jar command or Java command. Okay, API support. The Java SE provides support for the JAX Web Services, the stack, and for server side, it does provide endpoint class for publication. For client side, it is exactly the same that we have seen so far. So it's a service class. So this is again nothing much to talk about as far as the client is concerned. Client doesn't care whether your service is deployed over Java SE or a server-based platform. Okay, as long as the server should be able to receive SOAP message and being able to send back response message, client doesn't care. Okay. On the server side, for Java SE platform, because the container does not do the deployment, you have to provide the endpoint class for publication, and that's something we're going to learn in the following slide. So server side programming model. So this is again the bottom-up approach in which you are going to create the Java code, and then you are going to generate the WSDL. So this is a bottom-up approach. So we are going to create a Pojo class, and again we are going to use various web service annotation, including at web service, and then you have to publish yourself. Okay. So when you are deploying your application, web-based web service application over servlet container, when you do the deployment, that web application is actually being deployed over servlet container or EJB container. Now in the Java SE, because there is no container, you have to actually, publish the web service yourself by using this publish method of endpoint class. Okay, so this endpoint class is provided as part of the JAX Web Services package, and then you're going to just call the static method called the publish to publish it. Okay, and when you publish it, WSDL will be generated. Okay, and then client should be able to access it and being able to access the web service. Okay, so publishing endpoint. So publish method can be used to start publishing an endpoint, at which point it starts accepting incoming requests. So once you perform publishing, then it's ready to receive the request. You can stop the web service by calling stop method. Okay, so when you call stop method, and then it will stop accepting incoming request and take the endpoint down. All right, so publish an HTTP server embedded. So it's using HTTP server comes with a Java SE6. Okay, so by the way, so this is actually only working with the Java SE6 and above, Java SE6 version 4 and above. Okay, so you cannot do this one with the Java SE5. Support reasonable defaults for threading, and then WSDL is published with using the same convention. So the way that you are going to publish an endpoint is that you create a web service using web service annotation. So let's say you have a very simple calculator web service endpoint, and then you are going to create this calculator object, okay? And then you're going to use publish method. So publish, and then you provide the endpoint address. So this is the address that client is going to send the request to. And then you provide this calculator web service object. Okay, pretty straightforward. Client's programming model is exactly the same, so there is nothing much to talk about. Okay. All right, so that is the end of the presentation. So let's take a look at the lab exercise. So here, let's go to Java Web Services and Java C6 and index. Okay. So build and run simple Java SE web-based application, and this is another application called the supply chain Java SE. This is exactly the same application that we built as a web application in our previous hands-on lab. Okay, so you're gonna actually Java SE from Java SE 6 is the bottom-up approach. So let's actually just import the project. I'm gonna just close all these guys and import, open the project, and I'm gonna go to JAX Web Services Java SE6. Okay, so I should be able to just run it. This is a Java SE application. Okay. By the way, I should actually stop the glassfish. So if you make sure you have a glassfish, stopped. Okay, because it's gonna have a port conflict. So make sure you stop it. Okay. All right, so it has a net address already in use problem because the glassfish was up and running on the same port. So I'm gonna actually start it again since I stopped the glassfish. So run it. Okay, allow access. So this is up and running, then I should be able to actually, I should be able to access the WSDL document as a way of verification. So, so you run it, and you can see so basically things are, so this is actually what you should see. And if you take a look at the code, you are going to see is actually pointing publishing, and it creates the instance of add numbers impl, which contains a web service annotation, and then so the when you send the request to this about the 1990 stop, okay, so basically we actually also create the instance of endpoint stopper. So this endpoint stopper is another thread waiting some request on port 1990, and so when there is a request like this, okay, and then it will stop the endpoint, web service endpoint, okay. So yeah, we can actually take a look at the Java doc, and so you can take a look at the web services, and then we can actually access WSDL documents. If you access this WSDL document, and that means that application is up and running correctly, right? Okay. Okay, so that is that, and now we can actually create the client application from scratch. This is something that you have done already before, so nothing much to talk about. Okay, and the next exercise is then you can stop the server. Okay, so now if I click this one, then it's going to stop the server. Okay. Now, if I try to go over here with this link, it should not work because now the web service endpoint is the shutdown. Okay, so now if I do this, this should not work. It should have a full error like this. Okay, there is no service waiting for me. Okay, all right, so that works as expected. Now let's go to the next one. Yeah, this is exactly the same. Application that we built as a web application. So again, this is the case that we have. This is endpoint address. We want our client to send the request to, and this is the web service object. Okay, so if you take a look at warehouse impl, you can see it is annotated with @web-service. Okay, so now if you go over here, WSDL, you should be able to see the WSDL document. Okay, this one, yeah, this one you don't have to worry about it. I assume most of you are using a later version of Java C6, so you don't really have to worry about it. And the client code should be able to access it. Okay, so you should actually see this message. All right, so I'm gonna give you guys about 12 minutes, and then yeah, so I'm gonna give you 12 minutes, and let's have 30 minutes lunch time. So we will be back on 55 after the hour. Okay.